Dino Ball,
Dino Ball,
Dino Ball,
Dino Ball,
Dino Ball.
Dino Ball.
Ready? Welcome back to episode 10. 10 now. That's
That
that's a
is
crazy number.
that's crazy.
And
That's
not to mention, not to say the least, we have a guest today. A guest. We have Tom from at Sideline Fans on YouTube. That's again at Sideline Fans on YouTube. He is joining us today. Tom, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, like they said, my name's Tom. I'm with the channel Sideline Fans here on YouTube. We do a little bit of everything, but it's all sports related. I have a lot of shorts and some shorter videos about sports, funny stories, feats, great players, great moments. I had a video this week about the Lithuanian '92 basketball team and working on some other things. So just a little bit of everything. And then we do a live show and we do it every Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern time with these two guys. And we talk about everything sports kind of over the weekend. And I'm excited for this Tuesdays, but I'm really excited about tonight. So thanks guys for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here tonight. So thank you.
No problem, no problem. We are going to jump into a fun one straight off the bat. Um, had a little bit of depression over this week.
why
You
is that,
know,
Zach? Why is that?
why is that? Oh, you make it seem like you don't already know.
I don't. I
Well,
want you to inform
well,
me.
this is now the third straight year where the New York Mets have lost an ace. Third
Third?
straight year.
Third?
2022, yep, 2022, Jacob deGrom. 2023, Verlander started on the IL. Now, 2024, Kodai Senga is on the IL with a shoulder strain. They tried to play it off like it was just fatigue, like it was just nothing going on. It's just they're going to shut him down. He needs some rest and he'll be back. Nope. We find out that he's going to be out for months. Months he's going to be out. He's not going to be on the team. He's not going to be contributing to the winning, and it's going to be a lot of losing. That's a very, very weak rotation right now. Very weak rotation.
Very
I
weak.
mean, you start off with what? God, I mean, we got Jose Quintana, Adrian Hauser, Luis Severino, and the list just falls off pretty much after that. I mean, and especially to replace Kodai Senga, I mean, the options are very slim. We got Tyler McGill, Jose Buto. We have, and I don't even know the other person, maybe Joey Lucchesi to maybe replace Kodai Senga, but for the time being, but it's going down a dark place for the Mets. It's
Yeah.
it's not
Mhm.
fun right now. And I
No,
I know
yeah.
I
Mhm.
know Matt, you want to start with me because I could see it. I could see it in your eyes. So go ahead. If you have any opinions on what's going on with the Mets right now, go ahead. And
No, no, it's a total dumpster fire. Like that's just the best way to put it. I mean, you said it went downhill after a certain name. I honestly did not even recognize the first name you said. Can be totally honest with you. So it
what,
really
Tyler
just
McGill?
yeah, like who's that? What does he do?
What do you mean, who's that?
What does he do?
Bro, you know Tyler McGill. I mean, he had a rough year last year. I think he had like a 6 or 7 ERA last year. He had a rough year,
Hmm.
but you know him. You know what he
Well,
does.
I know him now. I know him now. See, like I can in a way I can kind of relate to you because you said you've had a opening day starter like different for the past 3 years, right? Well, at least the Yankees,
Don't do it.
Garrett
Don't.
Cole, Garrett the past 4 years actually. So I really can't relate. I'm sorry. Garrett Cole's just been the opening day starter for the Yankees the past 4 years. Make it five, coming up. Just won Cy Young if you were not aware about that. Senga on the IL. If I'm not mistaken, my source is Frank from Barstool. Is this not the same injury Corey Kluber had that kind of derailed his career?
I don't know, but it's not looking too good. The
It's not.
Mets are trying to cover it up right now and to say it's not as big as it is. Um, and that he'll be back and he'll pitch most of the games this year, but it might honestly all be a ploy and he might be out for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is Senga's way of just like trying to not play for the Mets, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Uh,
What do you mean?
Just trying to miss some games, trying to get traded to the Dodgers, maybe.
Trying to get traded to the Dodgers.
Yeah,
Are you kidding me right now?
I wouldn't want to play for the Mets.
He signed a 5-year deal. This is is only his
Yeah,
second
yeah.
season.
He signed that deal when Scherzer and Verlander were on the team, though. Maybe now he's regretting it a little bit.
Regretting it.
Yeah,
Regretting it.
yeah.
Do you know what future we're trying to build?
What,
Do
what
you, do you
are
know
you
what
doing? What future you have?
I don't want to say I don't want to bring up the farm system again because that went pretty south. But
So
you
swimmingly.
know what future we're trying to build.
I,
Go
I,
ahead, Tom. Go ahead, Tom. I know that.
I think you should bring up the farm system. Here's sort of where I am with some of this, okay? I, as a Cardinals fan, although I have a Pirates hat on, but that's a whole nother story. I'm not really a Pirates fan, but I'm a Cardinals fan. I can't. They signed like three pitchers, and I know one of them because he used to be a Cardinal, but it's a lot of no names, and it's kind of like, are they just filling things in? You know, are they just signing players to fill in? You know, do they just have players just to pitch, or are they really going to contribute? Because the Cardinals, for the last 10 years, I mean, if anybody's been noticing, the Cardinals really haven't tried. They get 3 million fans every single year, no matter what. Okay. When they got into their new stadium in 2006, they sold urinals from the old stadium. I mean, they were just selling anything they possibly could to make a dollar. And so they're not spending the money. Now I know the Mets tried spending the money and then it didn't quite work out for them and they traded away those folks, but are the players that you named,
Mhm.
and to Matt's point, I don't recognize the names, but are those players going to be just like they fill in the name every 5 days, or do you think they're going to contribute? That I don't think the Cardinals sign anybody that's going to do anything more than 500 at best as far as wins and losses and things. I just think that they just have seat fillers essentially. But do the Mets have some talent, or is it just they're filling in names?
Oh no, they're all awful. Like all the names that I listed, like McGill, Lucchesi, and Buto, they're all terrible options. Like they're not going to fill any amount of shoes that Senga provides for us on a yearly basis. Like it's not happening. I mean, at best, those pitchers are a 4 ERA. At best. I mean, I guess like maybe the only person out of those three that has a lot of potential is Tyler McGill, but also I guess I gotta give Lucchesi some slack because he did when he pitched for the Mets last season, he pitched pretty well. He had like a 2.8, 2.9 ERA. But I mean, these are guys that have struggled a lot in the past, all three of them. And Buto got the last time he came up to the big leagues, he got rocked. I mean, absolutely tortured. So I don't think that by any means they are fillers. Like you could just easily replace Senga with them. Um, but yeah, the rotation is really weak, like extremely weak right now, and they're not doing anything about that. Like David Stearns came out and straight up said, "Hey, I know we lost Senga, but we're not. Our opening day plans have not changed. Like we're not going out and we're not going to sign outside material to replace Senga. We're gonna keep within." He said that when reporters asked him what the plan was now that Senga is on the IL, nothing's changed. That was his response. Nothing's changed. And
And
as a Mets fan, I'm just dying inside.
well, that's what I was going to say. As a fan, you don't want to hear that. As
No.
a fan, you don't want to hear that, and you don't want these 4A guys coming in and doing things and just eating up innings and going 3.5 innings and then putting a lot of pressure on your bullpen, and they'll be worn out by July 4th. You know, midway through the season or whatever it is. It just it makes a bad situation worse. And do you think that do you think it's the management, or is it the players just, I know that you say that they have a good farm system, but are the players just too young to bring up?
Right now, yes, most of the players we have in our farm system are too young to bring up. I think the only ones we have to look out for this year at some point is maybe Jet Williams will probably come up at some point this year. Acuna, Luis Angel Acuna will definitely probably see the field in 2024.
That's the one that Matt brings up that is Acuna's brother, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. That he might come up at some point this year. And other than that, I maybe Drew Gilbert, but I think it's just mainly those two that are going to be the ones to come up and touch grass in 2024.
Now,
But
is Acuna a top-rated guy, or are we just looking at his last name? What do you think? Is he
look,
the way I look at it is he Jose Canseco or Ozzy Canseco? You know, of the brothers. You guys are probably too young to remember Ozzy because no one ever heard of him. But he had a cup of coffee with the A's and the Cardinals actually. So anyway, go ahead. What do you think? Is he going to put up some numbers?
I think he's gonna bring a lot to the table when he does come up. I mean, don't shake your head. I could see you doing that. Don't shake your head because you can't tell me
You
he's
you
not.
see the last name Acuna and your
I
eyes
don't.
light
I
up.
don't.
Yes.
I look solely based off stats, and I wish I you know what? Even just because you're shaking your head and everything, I really wanna you do it because I can't look it up as fast as you do. You look up his stats from last year and tell me because I'm
I don't.
pretty sure he had like 40 to 50 stolen bases alone. That's just in that category.
Mhm.
I
I
know
don't.
he put up pretty good numbers in the minor leagues last year.
Mhm.
So
I
go
don't.
ahead. You,
I don't think I will.
you don't think what?
I don't think I will.
Look it up.
I don't need to.
Don't argue.
I don't
Look it
need
up.
to. I don't need to.
Why not?
I don't need to look
Why
it up
not?
because you're a prospect. You should do it.
Okay.
I can look it up. I'll look it up. I'll look it up. I'm looking it
Okay.
up now
All right.
here. I'll get. He's Luis Acuna. Okay.
Mhm. I know he put up good numbers last year. I know he did. He had like at least 40 to 50 stolen bases,
That's
Very
somewhere
good.
around there.
all right. Cool. He can run. What else can he do?
I mean, I don't know. I
Is that
really
is that
haven't seen
that's
it.
the
I haven't been watching him enough because of the sole factor that we just got him halfway through last year.
so you know he's
But I
good.
know he's been doing good,
So then
Oh,
especially from the
okay.
Rangers.
Okay. In
Yeah, good.
2003 with Frisco of the Texas, Double A. He's only been up in Double A. He batted 315. He had ad just popped up. He had 7 home runs. I'm looking at stolen bases. And you're right about the stolen bases. He had, let me just make sure, he had 51, what, no, sorry, 42 stolen bases in 84 games. And with the when he was traded to the Mets in Binghamton, I'm saying it wrong, Binghamton. He had 15 stolen bases in 37 games, 2 home runs, and but he batted 243. So it
hmm.
probably was just more. Look, I would take that as he had to get used to the pitchers. I mean, there is that even in the minor leagues. So there's that. He obviously in 37, he stole 15. Yeah, he probably stole at about the same clip as he did with the Rangers 84 games, 42 stolen bases, 37 games, 15 stolen bases. So a little less than half every game, a little less than stole a half a stolen base a game, or however you want to look at it, or every 2 games he steals one base kind of thing. Um, so yeah, I mean, he does have speed, and his batting average,
I
you
mean, it was
know,
good with Texas. With in
yeah, it was,
Texas
Mm,
is but
look
yeah,
at that.
it's
Goes to the
very
Mets.
vast. It's very different moving from Texas to Queens. So it was an adjustment period. He didn't play that many games in Queens in their AAA or double A.
37.
what
Um
doesn't he? Wait, he
yeah, go.
did play in AAA.
No, I think it was double A. I
He
just messed.
played Double A. I
Yeah,
mean, he
double
hasn't
A.
even played AAA. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that could be a concern is the fact that he hasn't played in AAA yet. So,
So
um,
that I think he's starting. I'm pretty sure they announced that he's starting this year in triple A. I'm almost 100% sure, but uh Well, it's just a matter of time. I mean, you're just gonna have to see how he does. I mean, but his base stealing and his ability to create um a chance for the team to score just off his speed alone is going to be very valuable to the Mets.
I mean, theoretically, his on base percentage isn't bad for the 4 seasons in the minors total. His on base percentage is 369. So it's not horrible. 360 and above is pretty good. So that's not bad.
Mm.
Um, so, I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things. You'll have to see what he gets to at AAA. Now, the thing about it, from what from all my years of watching baseball and all that, is it really depends. If he's not doing well in AAA, he's probably not going to see the big club. But if he, gets lightning in a bottle in AAA, they'll bring him up as soon as they possibly can because he'll probably also sell tickets. Stolen bases. People like that. Offensive aggression sort of on the bases. So it'll be interesting to see how we'll see what he does in the spring because I think that'll determine a lot. And then
Mm.
see if he can do something in AAA. But I mean, look, I'm going to tell you this right now, and I know we're going to talk about him later. He's no Juan Soto. I mean, he's not going to. I mean, he has a whole different. He plays a different game, but I mean, Juan Soto. I mean, you think of the. Anyway, we're going to get to him. I'm not going to spill it, but I mean, that guy, I mean, what is he, 25? I
Like
mean, come
24.
on. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, this
Wow,
guy's,
24. I didn't even know that.
yeah, this
I didn't even know
guy's
that.
already, well, he's 21, so, but he'll be 22 this year,
Mm.
and it's like he hasn't really touched the major leagues. He's going to have what, 2.5 years on the guy. And,
Mm.
anyway, you can't compare the two. But what I'm saying is, yeah, hopefully he can fill in and put some good numbers up in AAA, I
Well,
guess, or
yeah,
have a really
that
good spring.
that's the main thing though with this year. This the theme of 2024 for the New York Mets is we're gonna see what works so we know where to go in the future. So we know what to sign in the offseason next year and years to come. And we're just gonna see what fits and what doesn't in the lineup. But I feel like we've spent enough time on the Mets. I do want to move on to the division rival, which is the Marlins. They actually picked up. I mean, you can't say it's a great deal, but it is a steal in my eyes at least. Tim Anderson signs a 1 year deal worth $5 million. I mean, the guy has just come off of probably one of his worst seasons ever with the White Sox. I mean, it was truly terrible last year. He had a really, really bad year. And he's, I mean, the past couple of years, he's been bouncing off and on of the injury list. Like he's been on the IL so much the past couple seasons. So it's definitely going to be interesting to say the least to see him in a new uniform because I mean, God, I mean, he's been with the White Sox for a while now. A while now. He's been all-star. He's been ups and he's been downs. And the Marlins just picked him up for literally like pocket change. I mean, $5 million. That's bare minimum. That's nothing. That's nothing. And they're gonna see what works with him. I mean, it's gonna that lineup is already fun. I mean, the Marlins lineup is young. They already proved a lot last season when they made the playoffs. I mean, Luis Arias, I mean, he's great. He's great. He was a great addition from the start. And now you get Tim Anderson to this year's team. I think it's a good move for the Marlins.
Yeah, two-time All-Star, Silver Slugger Award winner in 2020, AL batting champ. His best days are kind of behind him, right? I think you said it perfectly that, kind of a really bad year last year, kind of forgettable. In fact, I think the most remembered thing about him is Jose Ramirez punching him. Down goes Anderson. I think that's what we all kind of remember him for
Yeah.
this past season, right? But Marlins get kind of a solid bat. I know they've been kind of shopping for some infield guys. They've been wanting some outfielders, in the past, but now they kind of have someone to kind of man the infield with them, along with Arias, like you said. They lost Joey Wendell to the Mets, so to recompensate, for that loss, they go out and they get Tim Anderson. I think it's kind of an upgrade in my opinion, right? I don't think Joey Wendell's nothing special. So Tim Anderson, maybe he can rejuvenate his career a little bit. It was also the only team to offer him a contract, which is kind of surprising. I think it might have to do a little bit with Tim Anderson's character. Off the field, he's kind of, little iffy off the field. Teammates have said some things about him in the past, so we'll see how this goes for the Marlins and how interesting it'll be, like the whole dynamic, considering they're a pretty young team. So maybe a guy with Anderson's ego, maybe a little bit of his reputation. We'll see how they kind of mesh together. But at the end of the day, still the third best team in the NL East. Maybe they can make a run for the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe. Tim, you wanna add? Tim. Oh my God, I called you Tim. Tom, I'm sorry. Tom, you
No,
wanna
no
add
problem.
anything?
I would just say that Zach, you were right on with that. I mean, I think his best days are behind him. He had a really bad season. However, if you look at his numbers since 2019-ish, they started to really decline. He hasn't played over 126 games since 2018. His he played in 123 games last year. He played in 123 games in 2021. 2021 was a much better season. I just think that I think your assessment of him is right. I think both of you sort of said, he'll probably be maybe a little bit of an upgrade, but it really depends on if he can turn things around from what he did last year. So I would just echo what you said. I think for $5 million, it's a heck of a deal. There's tremendous upside to it. If it doesn't work, you just spent $5 million on a guy that's going to give you okay numbers, and maybe you designate for assignment or something like that later in the season. But
Yeah.
but for $5 million, he's worth it. So
Okay, alrighty. Well, we're gonna keep on the trend of signings. The Pittsburgh Pirates were busy. I mean, they were busy. Great move from them, and they got the extension they wanted. Mitch Keller, 5 years, $77 million. It is the largest contract for a pitcher in the Pirates organization in history. In history. I mean, especially for a pitcher of his caliber, it's 15. I believe you mentioned that you Tom, you
yeah,
wanna
yeah.
tell the viewers.
Yeah. No, I think this guy is really going to be an upside. If you play fantasy sports, he might be one of those sleeper rounds where you might be able to get him in like a second or third round, depending upon the size of your league. I know we're not necessarily talking fantasy, but I'm kind of excited about this guy. A couple numbers that I want to throw out there that I really like is the fact that last year he had 210 strikeouts. He pitched 194 innings. I always look at that innings versus Ks, and he actually has more Ks than innings by a little bit. So that's a great number to look at. Now his ERA was 4.21 last year, but he was 13-9, and Pittsburgh isn't a great team. So you figure that 13-9 is pretty good for a team that Pittsburgh was like last year. Number one, and his WHIP was the best that it was last year. It was 1.24, which is okay. It's not great. It goes along sort of with that 4.21 ERA. So I just think, you know, he he obviously brings some heat to their pitching staff, which I feel like that's what the major league pitchers are about now, especially the starters. I think that it's um, uh, a great signing for Pittsburgh, and I'm actually surprised they spent the money. I'm looking here, 77 million. He gets 15 million in 24, and then he gets 20 million a year for the next 4 years. The great thing about him is he's still only 28, and I just a stat that I picked up before the show tonight. The average players in the major leagues last year were between the ages of 26 and 30. So he's got 2 more years until he turns 30. So he'll play 24, 25, and then 26, he turns 30. So they got him for 3 years in this window. Plus, he'll be 31 and 32. And, if he does well those first 3 years, I think he'll make, he'll really be a benefit to Pittsburgh. Plus, you know how Pittsburgh goes, guys. In 2 or 3 years, if he's doing well, he might be trade bait for them as well. So I just think that from a fantasy standpoint, I would be licking my chops if he was around in the second or third round and you could pick him up. well, maybe not the second or third round. What am I saying? I'm thinking football here. Like in the, I don't know, like the seventh or eighth round or the ninth or 10th round, depending upon what pitchers are left. I think he's going to have, I think there's a lot of upside here. I think they see something in him. They wouldn't be spending the money on him. They're relatively cheap. So I think he's going to have a really breakout year this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that though, too. I mean, Mitch Keller is a part of a longer piece of the puzzle. I mean, they're also looking at the future, and they also have Paul Skeens in their farm system, which is a fantastic thing to look forward to for Pirates fans in the future. They are a relatively cheap team. I do agree with that. I mean, the past couple of years you haven't really seen Pirates make too much of a splash in the offseason ever. Like I just whenever a big name is out there, the Pirates are usually never involved with it. I mean, the most they did really this is probably the biggest thing they did all offseason. And then behind it, maybe a Aroldis Chapman, but that's like just a minor move. Like Aroldis Chapman's way past his prime.
Yeah.
So Mitch Keller was definitely a great guy to lock down, especially because the past couple of years too, he has been rumored in a lot of trades. I mean, a lot of trades. There was a point in time where he was rumored with a trade with the Mets. I mean, like this guy has been moved and pin needle moved around the market for a while, and it's good to see Pittsburgh actually lock him down for now. Yeah.
Yeah. Pirates, like you said, building something for the future. They just extended, I think, Brian Reynolds last offseason too, or last season. He was a big, trade bait going around. They're starting to lock down some guys. And especially for the NL Central, which is, in my opinion, not necessarily the strongest division, but it's definitely a division that could be up for grabs in a couple of years. I mean, we just kind of saw the Brewers, who were a heavy favorite, to kind of fall out of the race a little bit, trading Corbin Burns. Still have the Cardinals. They didn't have a great year last year, but this year, they came back in the offseason, made some additions. Cardinals could take it. The Cubs were very good last year. They could honestly take it this year. And in the future, the Pirates, like you said, Paul Skeens going to come up. Hopefully they still have those two on the mound together. Maybe you never know, a Garrett Cole situation. They end up trading Mitch Keller down the line. You never know with this team. But at the end of the day, great for the Pirates, good for their fans, something to
Yeah.
at least have some hope for the future with the young
Yeah.
core that they're building.
Yeah.
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 Great, great, great stuff for them.
Yep. I think,
Matt, I'm gonna let you introduce the next topic.
Oh,
Next
thank
two.
you.
You get the
Thank
next
you.
two.
Next two? Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so for those that don't know in this league, superstar, young, amazing outfielder Juan Soto was traded to the New York Yankees. He had his first at bat spring training the other day. First three at bats. Nestor Cortez, 0 for 3, 3 Ks. Now, before anyone wants to call it a bust, spring training, let's calm down. Okay. He's looking better than ever today. Oppo shot to left field off the scoreboard. That's the Juan Soto we know. That's the Juan Soto we love. Me specifically, being a Yankee fan. Every photo I've seen of Juan Soto, this man is smiling. I have never, ever seen someone more happy to be on a team in my life than Juan Soto. Him and Aaron Judge, the best hitting duo in the game. You can clip that, and I want you to fight me on that if you think I'm wrong.
I will not.
100%.
I will not.
100% the best 1-2 in the game. He is going to do numbers for the Yankees. That short porch, which is honestly kind of funny because a lot of Soto's power is actually to Oppo, so like to left field. So it's gonna be kind of fun though to see him in Yankee Stadium. I just really wanted an excuse to talk about the Yankees and Juan Soto and just to kind of, you know, let everyone know that Juan Soto's a Yankee. I still can't believe it. He's gonna be
Well,
great.
well, also, I do have a few questions for you.
of course.
Considering I'm not gonna come at you. I really should.
Why is that?
I think I have a lot of right to, but I'm not.
Why?
I
Okay.
feel like no. I feel like people are looking at the Juan Soto 3Ks in spring training and and just paying attention, solely attention on that. But there is also an upside to it. So how would you view it from a Nestor Cortez point of view? I mean, does it show that he's been improving? Does it show that he's gotten better since last year? Because last year was definitely a down year for Nestor Cortez, especially coming off a great 2022. So what does it show for Nestor Cortez?
It shows that Nestor is back and he's healthy. At his peak, Nestor was our number two starter. And now with the way that the rotation's shaping up, he could be our number four, our number five, just the way that the Yankees have kind of improved that rotation a little bit. But Nestor's kind of funky. He always delays his sequence. No one really knows how quick or how slow he's going to be throwing the ball. It's also lefty lefty. First time I think Soto's facing Nestor. I could be wrong about that. So it really just could be Soto trying to get familiar with the release and the timing and everything. And also that was Soto's first at bat the entire spring. So maybe a little bit of some offseason rust right there. But no, Nestor's going to be great this upcoming season as long as he stays healthy. There's some rumors he could potentially take on the Mike King role, where Mike King kind of came out of the bullpen, pitched a good bulk of innings, started a couple games. If Nestor is in that role, I think he could thrive a little bit. He does have some injury history, so maybe that'll take a little bit of the stress off of his arm, maybe keep him active a little longer. Yankees do have a couple prospects that they're going to be calling up: Chase Hampton, Clayton Beeter, Will Warren. Any one of them could take the last rotation slot, possibly right behind Clark Schmidt if they do keep him in the rotation. So I think it is good news for the Yankees that Nestor is looking very good. And there's no better person to strike out than Juan Soto to prove how good of a pitcher you are.
Yeah, I know, Tom, that you wanted to talk about this man earlier in the pod. So I'm gonna leave the floor to you to talk about some Juan Soto.
Oh yeah, I mean I think Juan Soto. I mean I don't looking at his numbers. There's no real weakness at this point. I mean outside of maybe you could argue his batting in San Diego, his batting average wasn't as good as it was. He tends to strike out a decent amount of time, but really he's got that under control because he walks more than he strikes out now. Last year was a little bit even, 132 base on balls, 129 Ks, but outside of that, he batted 275. His on base percentage was 400 or 410, which is terrific. His OPS was 929, which is, I mean, pretty much exceptional. So, I mean, he just really doesn't have any weakness. It might be, the other thing to think about too is, if he strikes out 3 times in spring training, a lot of times I've heard these players talk and, they're looking at batting a different way or holding their hands or using a different bat or they have some new swing process and they're testing it out and they want to see what it's like. I mean, spring training is, it's I mean, it's spring training. I mean, you can't overthink it too much. And I hope that the fans aren't overthinking it. I mean, Juan Soto, like you said, Matt, Juan Soto and Judge, there isn't a greater 1-2 punch right now in Major League Baseball. There's none. Okay. My only question, and I'm kind of taking this in another direction real quick, is have the Los Angeles Dodgers become the New York Yankees of the 2020s? Because people want to go and sign with the Dodgers. It used to be that way for the Yankees, and now they're trading to get their talent. So that would be the one thing is, and Soto's probably very happy there. He's, it's a 1-year contract, right?
Hmm.
It's a $31 million
Yeah.
1-year contract.
Mhm.
So it's always the idea that, hey, he could maybe sign someplace else. I mean, these guys care about, the zeros and the commas more than anything else. It's more about the name on the back of the jersey, as Seinfeld says, than it is on the front of the jersey, or he says it the other way around. But, you know, the way I look at it is the Yankees have all these talented players, but can't break through. And that was kind of like the Dodgers were 10, 15 years ago. And now everybody wants to go play for the Dodgers. They want to sign with the Dodgers, and they're not doing so much with the Yankees. And maybe it's Brian Cashman, maybe it's not. But I just think that, my question is the bigger question to me is Soto's going to have a good year unless he gets injured. Where's he going to
Mm.
play next year? And if the Yankees can't put it together like they couldn't last year, is he going to want to play for them?
Yeah.
So,
So,
mhm.
Matt, I'll let you because I
Okay.
know we got the same answer. And
Do
good.
we? Do we?
Yeah, honestly, yes, we do.
Okay.
Good.
Soto next year and beyond will be a New York Yankee. And that is not just my bias, but this kid grew up a Yankee fan. The culture, I don't want to be wrong. I don't know what the heritage is. I want to,
I
but
think it's Dominican Republic. I think.
Dominican Republic.
I'm pretty sure it's
That's where I was gonna
Dominican
go.
Republic.
I didn't want to mess it up. The Dominican culture in the Bronx, you can't beat it. He's already been talking about it. He's built some great friendships here. His family, also, by the way, big Yankee fans. And one thing that's very interesting, and
He
Tom, you
is
said,
Dominican. He is
yeah,
Dominican, by the way.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Everyone you said, which you're right, absolutely, you're right. Everyone wants to go west. Everyone wants to go to the Dodgers. Soto is the one superstar that I can think of the top of my head that actually preferred to go east. He wanted to be traded east, and you don't really see that much. Everyone, like you said, wants to go to LA. The Dodgers, 100%, the Yankees of old. I can get into that, but I'll focus right now on Soto a little bit. I
Yeah.
just don't see any other team going, or I'm sure there are going to be teams going for Soto, but realistically, I think he's going to be a Yankee next year, the years after that. It just makes the most sense. The Yankees upgraded their roster. On paper, they should win the AL. Maybe toughing it out against the Orioles, toughing it out against the Astros. On paper, this team should win. And I think Soto recognizes that. I think he sees what they have. And I think he realizes long term, this is the best spot for him. So, Zach, let me hear what you're going to say.
Well, I was actually gonna agree with you. I think that it also is a lot of year based, like how the Yankees do this season that'll determine whether he'll where he'll be next year, where he'll end up. But I think it's also in the Yankees' best interest that they extend him. I mean, he's one of the best players in the MLB. There's no reason not to. You got money. This is a guy that you worked so hard to trade for. I mean, granted, I do think obviously the Yankees got their worth and stuff like that. But you know, I believe that because of what you gave up a good amount of players to San Diego for him and Trent Grisham, but Trent Grisham doesn't really matter in this scenario. You got him. I don't think that the Yankees would want to give him up. It's in their best interest to keep him for the future, to keep him for more than just this postseason run. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but this postseason run and many more to come. I mean, you want to win multiple rings with this guy.
Yeah, the important thing too is if you get Soto long term, you're setting yourself up for the years after Judge and after Cole. Because he's what, 24 years old? You pair him up with the young core of Anthony Volpe, you got Austin Wells, Jason Dominguez, you got Spencer Jones coming up next year, and all the young pitchers. Even when Cole and Judge are gone, and still got Gleyber Torres, even when Cole and Judge are gone, the Yankees are still going to have that young talent to surround Juan Soto. And who knows, Volpe could break out. Yankees think Spencer Jones is going to be something amazing. I have faith in the kid. He could be another superstar slugger. The Yankees are set for a good amount of time if they play their cards right. And I really don't think any dollar amount should shy away from signing Soto long term. Generational talent at 24 years old. You can give him 15 years, 14 years, whatever. Get him for the rest of his career. If he wants to be a Yankee, you have to make sure he is a Yankee.
I agree
Well,
100%.
the
100%.
wild card with him is the fact that he has Boris as an agent, and Boris sometimes will just go where the money is or push his clients to where the money is. I tend to agree with you. If he grew up being a Yankees fan, it makes the best PR sense that he stays with the club and he resigns. But I don't think Boris is going to push his client to sign anytime during the season. because he wants to see what kind of season he has. Now, if his season starts going south, maybe he talks, But if his season is what we think it's going to be after the season next year. And will Artie Moreno follow follow the advice or the wants of Mike Trout, that he wants to win a championship with the Angels, kind of thing. Although, let's face it, Mike Trout was one of the game's best players, and probably due to injuries can't claim that Mount Rushmore at this point, and Juan Soto can. But does he throw his hat in the ring for that? He's always throwing money at players. But I think the best thing for Soto, I mean, here's the thing. I'm kind I like the way the Yankees have always worked. They will throw money at their team to improve. And while that's not always fiscally responsible, and teams like the Pirates can't do that supposedly, um, I don't see why they wouldn't. They, like you said, I think, Matt, you just said it. They have generational talent right there. Why throw it away? This guy, he's the way I think of him is the way I thought of Pujols 15 years ago. He's a machine. He puts up 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, on base percentage over 400, an OPS of over 900. I mean, you got to sign him. He's 24, 25. You got to sign him. I mean,
Hmm.
if they let him go, that's a huge mistake by the Yankees.
Huge, yes. And it's funny you mentioned Scott Boras because 100% you are right. I mean, he's proven that this year with multiple clients like Cody Bellinger and Jordan Montgomery, just to list two of them. I mean, there obviously another one is Matt Chapman. He's doing it this year. He will not have his clients accept a contract if it's not in the highest amount of dollar signs that it could
Yep.
be.
Yep.
So he's proven it this year. He's going to do it next year. And especially he's going to do it with Juan Soto.
Oh,
He will
Hmm.
not budge. He's
no,
not going to budge
no,
at all until Juan
no.
Soto gets what he's worth. And that's a lot of money. A lot of money.
Hmm.
So I have a quick question. The other outfielder that came from the Marlins, I can't think of his name right now, for the Yankees. Um, who's the other outfielders?
Marlins
Or maybe he
outfielder?
plays, or he might have played. He might be DH.
Stanton?
Yeah,
Stanton.
Stanton. Okay,
Stanton. Stanton.
he was with the Marlins. And
Mhm.
so, how many more years does he have left that are going to
See,
be good?
I
That's interesting. Oh yeah, go
I
ahead, Matt.
yeah, I actually funny enough, I actually had a conversation with my dad about that today. We were thinking, right? You get Soto long term, right? That's obviously one outfield spot. You have Jason Dominguez, that's an outfield spot. I view Verdugo as a rental, so I'm just gonna subtract him out of the equation right here. You have Aaron Judge, outfield spot. That's your three outfielders right there, right? Then you got guys like Spencer Jones. Where does he kind of fit in? So I like we said, Spencer Jones, or like I said, Spencer Jones, they view him as like a piece, like he's untouchable. They want him to be with them forever. Those are all outfielders, right? Assuming you sign Soto long term, you're gonna play him. You got Dominguez, Judge. That's your outfield. Where does Jones go? Right? If you view him as untouchable, where are you gonna put him? DH? That's what I think, take over for Stanton. Jones can play first base, but
Mhm.
how long until they move on from Rizzo? The way I see it is because you have all these guys coming up, specifically Jones, this is Stanton's last year to prove himself. He lost the
100%.
lost the weight, he got into shape. He should be healthier, should be. If he still is out for a significant amount of time this year, or his stats take a bigger dip than they already did, Stanton's 1000% out the door. The only problem is, I think he has a no trade clause. What team is going to want him?
Oh,
What are you going to do? So I know Stanton likes being a New York Yankee. He specifically asked to be a Yankee when he was traded from the Marlins. So that's the tough part, is trying to find a place that Stanton would want to go. Now, for teams to take on that kind of money, Yankees would have to eat a lot of it. Maybe they'll have to attach a pretty high prospect for a team to be interested. I don't really know how it's going to work, but I just think Stan has this year to prove himself because I don't think Cashman will hesitate to replace him with a guy like Spencer Jones. So I give Stanton 1 year, and who knows where he'll be if he's not on the Yankees because I have no clue.
here's the one thing too. Do the Yankees have such an outfield compared to their infield that I mean, their infield to me, with Volpe and all this stuff that might be and all this, but Rizzo's old. I mean, he batted 244 last year, 224 and 22. Okay. Is their infield like, do they need to upgrade their infield? Because I just don't see, Rizzo had 75 RBIs in 22. He had 41 last year in 99 games. Now, I know he's older. He probably didn't play every day. I didn't watch him every day. But I just think that the Yankees infield is so weak. It's actually sort of a challenge for them. The pro and con. The con is their infield.
Yeah, the infield's a little bit of a question mark in some cases. Anthony Volpe offensively wasn't as great as they would have liked him to be. Hopefully, you have a little bit of a sophomore jump. Normally it's a sophomore slump, but maybe he can break that curse. Maybe he can reverse a little bit. You have Gleyber Torres, who right now is second baseman. He's also a free agent after this year. There's a lot of rumors that, they might let him go. They might let him walk. That could be the worst thing the Yankees could do right now. He was their best hitter last year. Judge was hurt for a good amount of time. Glaber was phenomenal last year. Should have been an all-star. So, assuming they have those two for the long term, let's just say that you have a gaping hole at third base, right?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not necessarily sure or as confident as others of DJ LeMahieu playing third base every single day. Once again, same with him. He's not the player he was when he started with the Yankees. Kind of a little bit of a regression right there. You're also getting up there in age. So third base, I will definitely say that it's a glaring hole. But first base, Rizzo was actually phenomenal before the injury. Like without the shift and everything. The only thing that just kind of derailed him was, I mean, the season last year as a whole for the Yankees was a disaster, but he got his concussion from Tatis. The Yankees failed to realize it, and I honestly think he went like he had like an 0 for 40 stretch or something. It was really bad. So pre-concussion Rizzo was great, but then again, like you said, the age is gonna catch up to him eventually. And I think that could be where, like I said before, Spencer Jones, he played first base at Vanderbilt, not his primary position, more of the secondary. If the Yankees really view him as a long-term piece, and if you really can't move Giancarlo Stanton, Spencer Jones could possibly be filling in that first base role. Also, I know I'm looking ahead a lot. Munetaka Murakami from Japan. I know the Yankees are very interested in him. If the Yankees want to be the Yankees and they want to go out and get that star slugger, Munetaka Murakami, if we're thinking very highly, I think he would be fun to have at first base. Maybe Pete Alonso wants to drive a couple miles over to
No
the
way.
Bronx.
No way.
You
Don't
don't think
even
so?
mention take that name out of your mouth,
Dude,
okay?
it was just a
Buddy,
suggestion.
Oh,
there's
so someone's getting
there
slapped.
is there is no way you just said Pete Alonso and names
It
where
was just a suggestion.
there's no suggestion. He's gonna be a
There
Met
was
for
a
life. There's no
No, he's
suggestion.
not. Isn't
There's
he
no
hitting free
suggestion.
agency?
He's
No.
going yes, it's free agency. He's going to
He
be in free
he
agent
has he
next
has a
year.
better
But
chance
he's
of
going to
going
sign with the Mets for life.
he
There's no
he
doubt in my
has
mind.
a better chance of going to the Savannah Bananas than he does signing back with the Mets.
That's so wild. That's
That's not
actually
wild.
so wild.
He's gone after this year.
It's people like you that make me hate the
People
Yankees.
like
It's
me.
people like you that
I
make me hate
said it
that
was a
team.
suggestion. I didn't
There's
say it
no
was gonna happen.
suggestion. That's
It
not a
was a su-
suggestion. You're not taking the face of our franchise and putting him in the pinstripes. It's not gonna
it was a
happen.
Breaking
suggestion.
news, breaking news. Pete Alonso traded to the Yankees or to the Savannah
Oh
Bananas.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's dancing at first base now.
it's not gonna happen. You
It was a
can't take.
suggestion.
There's no suggestion when it comes to taking our face of our franchise and
Dude,
putting it
I didn't
in
say it was gonna
pinstripes.
happen, bro.
I
See,
don't care.
little brother syndrome. You're so
Don't bring that
scared.
up.
You're so scared that
That's
I think deep
buddy,
down
that's
you
two
think it's a real.
podcasts ago. That
I
don't
think
bring that up.
I think deep down you're scared that it's a real possibility of
I'm not
happening.
scared because
That's what
this
I
is this
think.
is the face of our franchise we're talking about.
Money
There's no
talks. Money
yeah,
talks.
Steve Cohen.
What did Steve Cohen do with the money this offseason? Luis Severino? Joey
We
Wendell?
knew what we were going in, what we're gonna have going into this year. It's not
The
a
way
matter
I
of that.
see it, the richest owner in the sport should just spend. Why rebuild? What's the point of rebuilding when you have the richest owner in sports? If the Dodgers can rebuild by freaking spending money. The Rangers built their team through free agency. Sure, they had some good young guys like pop off for them. They had Adolis for a couple years before. Evan Carter was great, but they built that team through free agency. Evaldi, Seager, Simeon, World Series champions. Why can't the Mets do that? What's stopping them?
Nothing. Nothing's stopping them. But it was declared before this season that this is exactly what they were going to do. They were going to get
But
David
why?
Stearns. They were going to get David Stearns, and they were going to sign low-key veterans to
But
begin and to
why?
use in 2024 because they tried. They tried signing all the free agents. They did
No,
that.
they made
They
a mistake and they signed two 40-year-olds. They signed grandpas. You could have picked anyone and they chose two grandpas and handed them $40 million plus. That was the Mets' mistake. They
That's not
chose
to
the
knock them
they
though.
chose the wrong people. No, I understand, but
That's not to knock them.
for
Max
them to
Scherzer.
change their whole like philosophy because they signed two old guys is kind of crazy. You have the richest owner. He wants to win. Why rebuild? Just go out and sign people.
Because he tried that and it didn't work. I know you say they're 40-year-olds. I know you say that, but at the time and still now they are one of the two of the best pitchers in the league. I mean, no, dude, some of the best pitchers that may be arguable. I'm not saying top 5. I'm not even saying top 10, but they're two phenomenal pitchers when healthy. That's the key thing. They were never really healthy with the Mets. They were never really healthy. Verlander signed 2 years and didn't even get to fulfill a full year in his contract. Max Scherzer, 2022. You look back at that, he had a phenomenal regular
Up
season.
until it mattered.
Phenomenal regular season.
Up until it
Got
mattered.
hurt, came back, and then didn't do well in the postseason. And
I have a
that's just
light
how
bulb.
it went.
I
That's
got a
just
light
how it
bulb
went.
moment. Light bulb
What's the
moment.
light bulb?
If Steve Cohen, where's the Grom, right? If he wants to spend, where's the Grom?
Okay, first off,
Homegrown king, homegrown talent. Where's the Grom?
see
What
that
is
that
Steve Cohen doing?
well, that's where I disagree with him. That's where I disagree with Steve because I feel like we should have done everything in our power to get DeGrom back. But I
That's
mean,
like if the Yankees lost
he's
Aaron Judge, like you lose a part of that team by losing your guy. He was your guy. That was your ace, your two-time Cy Young Award winner, and just left over what, 1 year?
I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna argue with you. Look, I wish we got DeGrom back. I didn't see him in any other uniform but a New York Mets uniform. But things just didn't work out like that. And you know what? I try to forget, but it's hard to forget because he was a phenomenal piece to our team for so long. And what he does on the mound is unreal. It's unreal and it's unmatched. When he's fully healthy, DeGrom is a literal demon. I mean,
Mhm.
he's such a great pitcher. But that's what I try to I just try not to look too much at that deal, at that offseason. I try to look at what's now. And you are getting so far off topic, dude.
You did
So
this.
far off
I said
topic.
the Mets.
Because you
I
should
said as a
never,
suggestion.
you should never bring up Pete Alonso in a Yankees discussion. Never,
Why
never
not?
should be brought up ever,
Why not?
ever.
If the Mets can just sign ex Yankees, why can't the Yankees sign ex Mets?
First of all, he will never. He's going to go into free agency, but he's going to sign a massive extension
Know that.
with the Mets.
How
He's
do you know
going
that?
to. He's going to. I
If
have
he was going to sign an
every.
extension, why do it over free agency? If you love the city so much, why not just sign that extension?
Because he's also just got Boris. Remember that. Remember, he just got Boris.
So
Boris
he's
is his client.
so he's a Dodger.
Boris is gonna do the exact same thing right now with Pete Alonso in his last year of the contract that he's gonna do with Juan Soto.
Juan Soto
He,
is a greater magnitude, though.
I
There's going to be a difference
sure,
of like 300
sure,
million in their contracts.
sure. I Point is, don't ever mention Pete Alonso in a Yankees conversation.
You
Don't ever,
derailed the segment.
don't ever. I didn't derail nothing.
Yes, you
I
did.
didn't derail nothing.
I
Don't
said it
ever
as a
mention Pete
suggestion.
Alonso in a Yankees discussion.
You derailed the segment.
Move on, Matt. Move on.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right. Uh,
Fanatics. We're doing
yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Fanatics.
We're gonna do fanatics.
Previously, previous podcast, we talked about the Fanatics uniforms. Players hate them. Terrible. New material. Now, a little bit of a developing story. The pants. Pants are see-through. Okay. I don't really know what to say more than that.
There's
I
kids
don't,
at that game.
yeah, I don't know if I can put pictures on the screen, but they're see-through. And that's what do we do at like a raining game, right? When it's raining, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
I honestly don't know. I mean, Fanatics and Nike have just fumbled completely. Completely. I mean, the jerseys are horrible. The pants are horrible. Tom, I know you're itching to say something after me and Matt just
Yeah.
went at it for the past like 10 minutes. Go
No,
ahead.
the uniforms are a joke. The see-through, it's like a cheap minor league or like just junior league, rookie league kind of uniform. And I know that I can't remember if you guys went into it, but the lettering on the names are real small, and these pants that you can see through. I guess what they're going to have to do is both teams are going to have to wear their away jerseys. So because the home whites are, if it rains, it's going to be like a t-shirt contest, a wet t-shirt contest. I mean, it's really embarrassing. As someone I run all the time, I've wore Nikes for many years. I love Nike running shoes. It's bad for Nike. Fanatics is this whole, I think you guys were even talking about it's this whole, they own Tops, they own everything. They own all these companies you don't even realize and things like that. So it is an embarrassment. I mean, I wouldn't buy one of those jerseys. I wouldn't buy one of those jerseys. And they're like, what, $175 just to talk about them. The lettering's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. I mean, it looks like a giveaway jersey. Like when
Yeah.
you go and it's like a
Hmm.
freebie jersey night, that's what it looks like to me.
Hmm.
So yeah, Nike really messed up on this one. Fanatics is right there. So I mean, my guess is they'll do something about it. I mean, the see-throughness of the pants. Now, for anyone listening, since we don't have a picture up, luckily the jerseys are long enough to sort of cover up inside the pants. But otherwise, I mean, it is really see-through. I mean, it's an embarrassment. If I was a player, I would be like, I'm not wearing those. Give me my pants from last year. I just wouldn't. I don't. Is it because of the heat? Or is it thinner?
I
Is
don't
that what it
know.
is? I
I don't
mean,
know. I think it's just thinner, but I mean, you gotta mention this too. That poor Padres guy, man. I mean, he's the mascot for this right now. I mean, you hate to say that, but he's the mascot for this. He's the caveat right now that is going wild through social media and proving our fact that these jerseys, these pants are terrible. I mean, they're awful. Matt, do we know the Padres player that was?
I'll find out for you right now.
You could try. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be out there, but
you know what it kind of reminds me of is like some sort of bad pajama, or like, have you gone to like a Halloween place and you get like the replica Superman outfits, but it's real thin and it's
yeah,
cheap looking?
yeah,
It's almost like that. It's almost like they're wearing Halloween jerseys of baseball players because the pants are a joke. It's like pajama bottoms or Halloween costume bottoms. I mean, it is just a joke. I mean, I can't. I mean, the thing about it is these are $1 million players, and they're wearing outfits that look like heck. They look horrible. I just, it's really kind of a shame because I think it's going to change the lettering to me. Like, I like the Dodgers uniform. I like the Yankees uniform. I like the Cardinals uniform. I like the Royals. Certain Pittsburgh uniforms I like. Even the Mets sometimes I like. I even like the Cubs. I'm supposed to hate the Cubs. I like a lot of these jerseys, but when you start making them like this, it's horrible. I mean, it is just the
yeah.
jerseys don't look nice anymore.
They
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 don't look like $1 million players anymore. So
these jerseys and pants look like something my grandma knitted in the basement. I mean,
Yeah.
an embarrassment to the game. Matt, I feel like you got the answer to our mystery
Yeah,
Padres player.
I do, and I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
Couldn't find it.
yeah.
Sorry,
I mean,
sorry, to disappoint.
nah, it's okay. But to think that you can't spend at least just a little bit more time on the jerseys and the pants, but it's not even just that. I mean, some things are just meant to be the same. Some things are meant to stay the same and not to change. Don't alter the jerseys. Don't alter the pants. Don't alter what is already good. I could see adding City Connect jerseys, and they've done that, and they've been some of them are really nice. City Connect jerseys, old historic jerseys, from the past. That's great too. Don't change everything we know and love about our regular home and away jerseys. That should never change, and especially the pants. I mean, the pants, MLB pants are usually as basic as it gets. I mean, the common white, don't change it. It just doesn't need to be changed. Nothing about it needs to be changed.
You guys might have been talking about this on Thursday. I just looked this up. On Thursday, the San Diego Padres wore their white pants for a spring training game. They wore last year's pants for a spring training game against the Dodgers, and that was yesterday.
I did not know that.
I
So
did not know that either.
they're all it was on Bleacher Report apparently 9 hours ago. On Thursday, San Diego Padres wore their, and then there was an article even higher that said this was an SI. San Diego Padres had to wear 2023 pants because 2024 uniforms are so unacceptable. So I mean, they're already doing it. So here's in my estimation, what's going to happen is Major League Baseball is going to change this. They're going to come out with a statement that, oh, these new uniforms were for spring training and blah 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 blah, and they're going to somehow magically appear in what, late March or early April with jerseys that look right. Because if teams are already changing their pants, they have to make the adjustment. They have to now. The Padres have kind of forced their hand, or I guess other teams might be doing this too, but they're going to force Major League Baseball's hand.
Yeah, it's something's just gonna have to
Yeah,
happen with
it
these
has to.
jerseys and with
Hmm.
these pants. It's just not right. It's just not right. And Rob Manfred just and the MLB as a whole has to make it right. They have to make it right. It just has to happen. Otherwise, it's just gonna cause more problems on social media and more problems with the players, honestly. So we're gonna see how that turns out. But I do want to get into a Trevor Bauer segment. I feel like me and you haven't touched on this in our podcast. Tom, I don't know if you have on your side of things.
No,
Trevor Bauer is probably one of the most talked about baseball players in today's day and age, and yet this man is still not on an MLB team. Now, we know he's been blackballed. There's no other way to put it. He's been blackballed because of the allegations and the trial and with the girl. And you know, my personal viewpoint on Trevor Bauer is the man was cleared of all his charges. Now, what you do with that and what you want to brand with that with your team is another thing, but he's been cleared with from all his charges. I mean, there's no reason he's outright saying on social media, "Hey, sign me for league minimum and I will pitch for your team. And if you do not like me, go ahead and release me. I have no problem with you releasing me and us going our separate ways." There's no reason not to. He's a great candidate for many teams. And one of the some of the buzz from this week is, and I mean he's doing this with every MLB team. He just wants to play Major League Baseball. He just wants to get signed to a team. But from this week specifically, what is it? Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll be the first one to say that the Mets should have looked into, if not should have signed Bauer, but they're not going to. It's just not going to happen. It just can't happen because I don't know. It's just something about him makes all MLB teams want to shy away from. But specifically this week, somebody tweeted at him and said thoughts on playing in Baltimore this year at Bauer outage question marks. And he responded, obviously he's trying to get on every MLB team, but he goes, I think it makes a lot of sense for the team and I'd love to play there. It's a great match. I mean, now that's not to say that he's going anywhere. He's just trying, his agent's trying to talk to every MLB team possible. The Orioles, they probably reached out to the Orioles at some point, and I just want this dude to play in the MLB regardless of what team it is. Regardless of what team. That's really my take on Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, I think Bauer's done. I don't think any team is gonna sign him. I maybe it goes back to Japan. I know his team in Japan. I don't know the name. I know they wanted him. He was one of the better players in the league. I think he actually got voted for having one of the best pitches. Might have been his curveball. I don't remember. But he had a good career in Japan and maybe might continue that. But I think whatever MLB team, if they were to sign Bauer, he would help the team. He would. I don't think it's totally an unreasonable ask from him to be like, hey, sign me for league minimum and just release me if I do poorly. That's not bad at all. It's really like a low risk, high reward type thing. You know what I mean? But he's just not gonna get picked up by a team.
Here's the way I look at it. Okay. And it's, let's, whatever issue, whatever happened, I know it involved a woman and stuff and complaints. I can't remember all the specifics about it. Major League Baseball to me, like almost every professional sports league rather, if you're good enough, they're going to sign you. Okay? And I'm not saying that he's not necessarily good enough. If you're good enough, they're going to sign you. But if they know something, they're not going to sign you. And they're just going to not sign you. Okay. And so, there's speculation about Colin Kaepernick and why he wasn't signed. Was he not good enough? Was there whatever else? Was it just the kneeling thing? I don't know. I'll never know that. But I'll tell you right now, my theory on Trevor Bauer, or my thought on Trevor Bauer is somebody knows more than what happened. And to your point, Zach, yeah, he got acquitted or the woman dropped the charges or there was something like that. I remember from it. It was really bad charges and then all of a sudden they went away. But for him not to be picked up in the era of, back in the 80s, way before you guys were born, Steve Howe of the Dodgers, he was a great pitcher. He was suspended for drug use, like cocaine, I think, 7 times. Okay, I just looked it up. 7 times they brought him back. He was out of baseball for 4 years. He signed with the Yankees. Okay. Baseball will find a place for you if you're good enough. Like every major league, every professional league, something is that there's something going on that we may never know about. Okay, for a reason that Trevor Bauer is not being signed. And it's not collusion. Like in the 80s, they also had collusion where the owners all got together and said, we're not going to pay a guy, we're not going to pay anybody over $2 million. And then they got sued by a bunch of players. That was real collusion back in the 80s as well. This is not collusion. There's something going on with Trevor Bauer that we aren't privy of, and that's why he's not being signed. Because I'll tell you right now, the Yankees would sign him, the Mets would sign him, the Cubs would sign him, maybe even the Cardinals would have signed him. I mean, people would have signed him. The Angels would have signed him. There's something else going on there. There's just something going on,
Has to
and
be.
yeah,
Has to
and
be.
isn't it with him? It was like there was other women that said that he did whatever he did to different women, like more than one woman, almost like a whatever he did was almost like a serial kind of thing. Like that's the way he was. I don't remember all the details, and so I don't want to speculate either. I mean, let the man have his life. I believe in that, but there's something there that we may never know about, and because he would be signed. I mean, look at the NFL, look at basketball. I mean, The guys are going in and out of jail. Coaches, managers, Tony La Russa driving drunk. He still manages. I mean, come on, that's you know something's going on there, and we may never know about it. So
Yeah, I mean at this point, it's just with his whole situation, it's so sad to see, but it has to be as a fans looking inside on it, looking at this situation. There's no other explanation than that there has to be something going on with it. There's no other explanation.
yeah,
I mean,
because he
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say he can still throw heat. I mean, you guys probably see the videos that he's in where he's
Mm.
pitching, and there's one with a guy that played like college baseball, and he's always batting and stuff. And he had Trevor Bauer a bunch like in the a couple months ago, and he was throwing to him, and they had a radar gun. I mean, he still has the talent. It's still there.
Oh, for
And
sure.
you
For
guys
sure.
know if you can throw a ball over 95 miles an hour, somebody's going to sign you. I mean, the Savannah Bananas are going to sign you. I mean, somebody's going to sign you. So I just, there's something there. Like I said, I can't say it anymore. There's something else there that, and he's probably to Matt's point, he probably will never be signed by a major league team because he
Yeah.
would have been by now.
Hmm.
Unless there's some owner that's kind of shoots from the hip and he's a maverick and all that kind of, like, if I don't know, Mark Cuban bought a baseball team or something, maybe take a chance on him kind of thing, but I don't think he's going to get signed.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City.
The ace of
So
the new expansion team. Who knows?
yes.
Could
Yeah.
be in the future. Could be in the
Yeah.
future. Could be in the
Well,
future.
wait a second though. When would that team start?
I have no idea. It was just something we brought this up last podcast. We talked about it along with the new Royals Stadium and
Well,
um
they talked about expansion. There was an
yeah.
article this week about expansion. So yeah, I mean, but that's probably 5 years away. I mean, by
Oh, it has
then
to be. By then
by
by
then he
then it
probably
might
won't
not.
be. He's not going
Yeah,
to be
probably.
effective. But yeah, I mean, but you never know. I mean, they're just. I
He's
mean,
got to keep pitching. He has
yeah,
to keep pitching. So
he has
if
to.
he doesn't get signed, I think for sure he should go back
Oh
to
yeah,
Japan and pitch there and do what he's been doing. But
yeah,
continue the main thing for him would to not be to stop and to continue pitching because who knows if he continues pitching and he still wants to play baseball somewhere in the near like 5 year future when if there's an expansion he could be signed to one of those teams.
yeah.
I don't see why anybody would not sign him, not would not go out and sign him. But
Well, there was
yeah,
an independent minor league team years ago. I think they finally dissolved. Oh, Daryl Strawberry played for him. There was a bunch of like sort of former players that had some issues. They were an independent league team, but they were like a triple A team.
mm,
I can't think of their names of their colors. I think were like almost Yankees colors. But they had a lot of players that sort of had that went through an awkward path in their careers, and a lot of those players ended up getting re-signed by other clubs. And so, but like you're saying, if he can play in Japan like he did and stay with that team, more power to him. He might get picked up if the other thing about it too is from a PR perspective, if things just kind of lay low for a year or two, he might get signed. People will be like, oh yeah, that guy had that issue, that like Marv
mm,
Albert. Marv Albert ended up being a broadcaster again, and he did something. He bit a woman. So I mean, you can reclaim your career in many ways. So, but I just think this year I don't think he's going to get signed. Go back to Japan a year or two, and maybe you will be signed by the MLB by a team. Just kind of go off into the sunset for a while, do your thing, come back with a great resume, and you probably will get a second chance. I mean, the Cardinals keep putting Miles Mikolas out on the pitching bump. I mean, he was out in Japan for a while, so anything's possible. I mean, there's always, if he was a left-handed pitcher, I'd say they'd probably sign him tomorrow, a major league team. But he's unfortunately a right-hander, so yeah, it's just yeah, go back to Japan and pitch. So.
yeah, Eric Fetty's another one. that did the exact same thing. Sucked in the MLB. Was terrible in the MLB. Went to Japan, came back, signed the deal. Just how it happens. It may be just how it happens, especially for him. But I do wanna get into our last topic of the night. Tom, I think we're gonna give you the honors on this one.
All
Introduce
right.
us to the last topic of the night.
All right.
Should be a fun. That's definitely going to be a fun one to talk about.
Are you talking about the last player?
Yes, yes. The
Yes. Okay.
with
Gio
Montgomery.
Ursula.
Oh no, no,
Oh,
Montgomery. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
oh, wait a minute. I didn't see him on the list.
oh okay. So then
Oh,
I'll just
oh,
I
you
could
mean, oh, you go ahead. You go ahead because
yeah
yeah,
I'll
Oh,
go.
I didn't even see it either. I'm gonna be totally honest. It's
yeah,
on
I
the
didn't
next
see it.
page. Okay.
Yeah, I
My
did not
fault.
see it. So
My
my
fault.
my mistake.
My fault. Okay, Jordan Montgomery with the Red Sox. Now, he's heavily rumored with the Red Sox. They are prioritizing Jordan Montgomery, and he is their their number one guy on the list right now. As he should have been signed a long time ago. I mean, it should have happened a long time ago, along with the other guys that we've mentioned time and time again. Jordan Montgomery is a phenomenal pitcher, and he proved that with Texas last year. Phenomenal pitcher. But the only downside to this is the Red Sox are not going to budge on Montgomery if the price doesn't come down. That's the only issue with the Red Sox right now and Montgomery. They don't want to go all in on him just yet. They want him to lower his asking price so that they can sign him and add him to the roster. They've made some decent moves this year, the Red Sox, but Jordan Montgomery would be a great splash for the Red Sox to land. Matt, I know division rivals, Jordan Montgomery. I don't know if that really scares you. Does that scare you at all if they were to sign Jordan Montgomery?
No.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. It would suck to see Monty in Red Sox colors. That would so suck. But at the end of the day, kind of like what we talked about with Jorge Soler, doesn't really do much. I don't really
No.
think it does it. I think the Red Sox are still a fifth place team. I think they will be for years to come. Maybe give it 2, 3 years. Maybe they'll be a 4 seed. But at this rate, I think he will be a Red Sox player at the start of the season. Maybe not the start of the season, maybe mid-season. I just don't think there's any heat with any other teams in terms of signing Monty. I think I read that the Rangers are pretty much done making moves, which I thought they were going to be the favorites to get Montgomery. So I genuinely just don't see any other team showing interest in Monty. And I don't think that's because of Monty himself. I think once again it's because of Scott Boras and the ridiculous asks. I just think more so Boris went kind of high on all of his asks and, you know, teams called the bluff. And here we are. We're at kind of a standoff with spring training games already started. So at this rate, to answer your question one more time, got a little sidetracked. No, this does not really do much for the Red Sox. It gives you a solid ace for the next couple of years. Maybe it can get you into a wild card spot in the future, but to really push them over the edge, it's a lot more than just pitching. They need a lot of hitting and better ownership. Their owners have come out and just said that they have not been focusing as much on the Red Sox because they own other teams too. I I'm blanking off the top of my head what teams are, but in other leagues they own other teams and they've been putting more focus into those as opposed to the Red Sox, which is really sad considering they just won the World
Yeah.
Series in 18.
I mean,
Um,
I know I'd be mad if that's what my owners were doing.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
Tom. Yeah.
yeah, the
Good.
one thing about Montgomery, I wouldn't classify him as an ace. To me, he's like a third guy in the rotation, depending upon the rotation, maybe fourth guy. I mean, you're looking at last year 10 and 11, a 3.20 ERA. You know, ERA is good, but 10 and 11 isn't great. In 2022 combined, he was 9 and 6 with the 3.48. You know, he is under that strikeout per inning. He had what was it? Just looked at it. He had 166 innings. No, he had 166 strikeouts and 188 innings pitched. So he doesn't even quite get to one strikeout per inning. So maybe he's a number two. I think people like him because he's a lefty, and I think they like that. I mean, to me, really, uh, he's an innings eater. I don't know if I would classify him as an ace. I kind of classify him as someone who could take the ball every fifth day and can get you some innings and won't embarrass the club and keep the bullpen out. But I don't see him as a shutdown guy by any stretch of the imagination. And as far as the front of the rotation. But I mean, if he goes to the Red Sox, I think it's a decent pickup. I think if you're a Yankees fan, you're not really worried about him because your outfield is so good they'll probably be mashing off of him. But you never know. I mean, but he's been around for a while. He'll be 31 this year, so he's kind of on that. He's kind of starting to get long in the tooth, as they say, or the better part of his career is behind him. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know that he's going to change the complexion of the Red Sox at all, and actually the Yankees might like playing him at this point in his career.
Yeah, yeah. Jordan Montgomery is another one, man. I mean, you're right in what you say. I don't know if I would classify him as an ace. Definitely a great pitcher. Definitely a great pitcher, but not number one material.
No, if he's number
Definitely.
one on your team, if he's your ace, your team's not that good. So let's put that aside. I'll let you, Zach. I'll get back to you, but I'm just saying that out loud. So,
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's how it would be if he was a Met.
Yeah.
That's just how it would be.
Yeah.
It's just how it would be.
Well, if the Cardinals re-signed him, that's where he would probably be. He'd be 1 and 2 easy on that staff. So,
Hmm. Yeah, so definitely a two or three in any normal rotation in the MLB. Um, but yeah, I just honestly think that this guy should have been signed a long time ago. I'm surprised that we're still getting rumors and spring training has already started. I mean, most of the games are being played tomorrow, but some games have already been played. I mean, the Dodgers and Padres already played. We're getting into baseball season. And so the fact that a lot of these guys are not signed and not on teams is just brutal. I mean, to watch the offseason it started off with such a bang. I mean, Soto trade, Otani signing for a massive deal, Yamamoto, great deal. Um, and then just to go with such a long stretch with nothing, no buzz around these bigger name guys. Cody Bellinger's another one to name off the top of the dome. But I mean, yeah, I just you're just shocked. I'm just shocked to see that we're still getting rumors and spring training has already begun. We shouldn't get rumors. I think what a lot of fans want at this point is concrete information. Stop with the rumors, stop with, oh, he might be interested here, oh, he might be interested there. Let's get down to business. I think these teams have to stop playing around with these guys and actually make them an offer and begin to sign them because we know but Boris is not budging. We know Boris. We talked about Boris. He's not going to budge. This just not going to happen. So until these teams offer a deal that these players deserve, um, nothing's going to happen with the movement. So yeah, like I said, I just think that these players should have been signed a long time ago. So yeah, Matt, if you want to interject, add anything,
Yeah, it's hello.
you're good.
yeah.
Sorry.
You're
Okay, I
good.
couldn't I
Yeah,
couldn't
no,
hear
you're good.
myself. I couldn't hear myself during my headphones, so I thought something was going on. But no,
No, you're good.
it all stems with Boris. It all stems with Boris. We talked about it. They want to add, or he wanted to add potentially a free agency signing period. I think from an owner standpoint and from a fan standpoint, we would love that. Um, But from a player standpoint, maybe not so much. That kind of kills their value. It gives the teams the leverage because, you have to be signed by a certain date. They lose a couple millions off of years and stuff, and you have to make a life-changing decision in literally a time frame. But like you said, Monty should be signed. Coming off probably the best year of his career, topped it off with a World Series ring, a big part of that World Series ring. And the fact that he's not signed is just disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And like we said, Boris, the big four, you have Monty, Snell, a Bellinger, Matt Chapman. It's just ridiculous. Jorge Soler just signed a couple days ago. It shouldn't have taken him this long. He's an impactful bat. He could have impacted any contender's team's chance of winning. And you also still have JD Martinez, another big name that's not signed. It's just ridiculous. And this could be like, I don't know if you remember, like a Dallas Keuchel, a Josh Donaldson situation from years back where they signed middle of the season. So that way teams didn't have to forfeit draft picks in order to sign them. I remember Keuchel signed with the Braves or Donaldson signed with the Braves or something. It was one of the two. They signed with the Braves mid-season, and they should not have been signed mid-season. They just didn't have a market, and that's what it's looking like for these guys. I just I find it hard to wrap my head around that. A lot of these people, especially Blake Snell, the Cy Young winner, is still unsigned. And to speak a little bit on him, Jeff Passan says he thinks out of the four, he's going to sign first. There's been a lot of news around Snell lately, especially with the Yankees. Won't get into that. It's going to be a whole hour conversation if I do. But they're going to sign soon. At least Snell, I think, will. I wouldn't be surprised if honestly Chapman or Bellinger honestly signed mid-season after the draft. And that kind of sucks as a fan. But for whatever team gets them, you get a little boost in your lineup.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has been great. This has been absolutely great. Tom, I know I guess we speak for the both of us. We
Yes.
enjoyed having you on. I mean,
Oh, I
there's
enjoyed being
great,
here. I loved
great
it. Loved it.
topics.
Loved it.
Great topics. But we are going for one more time for anybody viewing our channel. This Tom is with at Sideline Fans on YouTube. Again, it's at Sideline Fans on YouTube. But we are going to catch you next week with our 11th episode. It's now getting up there. It's now getting really up there. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, we'll be back next week with more content.